You know when the title of a video is Mr. Repzion is an anti-Christian pussy? That it's going to be good. So I had to watch it. Let's see what she has to say.
Daniel, whilst I do agree that that pilot should have taken measures to help the passengers on board. I used to be a flight attendant as well, so I just throwing that in there. I do agree that pilot should have taken measures to save those lives. He could have prayed as he was going along. I do agree with you there. But Mr. Repzion, what's to say that a Jewish pilot, or a Muslim pilot, or a Sikh pilot, or a Hindu pilot wouldn't have stopped to pray?
Absolutely nothing. I don't even really understand why you're asking this question because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Whether this person was a Christian, whether this person was Jewish, whether this person was Islamic, whether this person was a Mormon, I would have made the exact same video. But in this particular story that I wanted to coincide with my video on the topic of prayer, this person happened to be a Christian. And I would have tackled it any other way, the exact same, whether he was a Christian or some other religious faith.
I'm obviously British, I live in Europe. Americans take their Christianity a lot more seriously than we do over here. Although, in saying that, I will say this, the black racial group here, obviously I'm black, is very into church, and, you know, I was brought up in a Pentecostal, well, I was Anglican, then I became Pentecostal, you know, that was my family dynamic. And even in America, you know, obviously black people tend to be more into church. Americans take their religions very seriously, but at the same time, there are people who take it seriously here. Now, why did you single out this incident for Christians? I realised that he was a Christian pilot.
I didn't single out this incident for Christians. In fact, whether this pilot had been Islamic, whether this pilot was Jewish, whether this pilot was a Jehovah's Witness, whether this pilot was a Mormon, I would have still used the exact same story for the start of my video. Because the point still stands that no matter what religion he's associated with, he took the time to pray rather than take emergency measures to save people's lives, which resulted in the deaths of people. Now, these people could have died, whether he could have used emergency procedures, and maybe he may not have been able to rescue them, and maybe they would have still died. But the fact is, rather than actually do his job, he decided to pray instead. Pray to which I believe a God does not exist. The entire video here is saying, you single out Christians, you're attacking only Christians, you only make videos about Christians, when that's not the fact at all.
You singled out Christians. You're being a coward. Why don't you talk about Muslims and Jews?
And this is where I spit out my coffee. I don't understand how you have gotten to the you singled out Christians, therefore you're a coward. The thing is, if you've been a subscriber of mine on my channel like you supposedly claim to be, which I almost wonder if you're an actual troll or not, but I went to your channel and I looked over some of your videos and apparently you're not a troll. But if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you would know that I do not single out Christians. Although, I do talk about Christianity a lot in my videos. The reason I do that is because I grew up Christian. So because I grew up in a Christian household, and I'm still living in a Christian household, which I will be moving out relatively in a few months, I feel more subject to talk about Christianity and talk about it and criticize it and examine it and research it even more than I already have because I grew up in that environment, because that's the religion I grew up in. Therefore, I feel more strongly and more passionate about Christianity. Therefore, that's why I talk about Christianity more often than other religions. But here's the thing. I have almost 700 videos. That's a lot. In total, those 700 videos almost equal up to a year and a half in total of time. That is a lot of content, that is a lot of videos, and that is a lot of this face and this voice and my constant stuttering and terrible speech problems and all that other shit. That's a lot of me. And because that's a lot of me, I can understand why you probably would not be very educated on how many videos I have actually made regarding other religions. 700 videos, A lot of them are on religion. I've talked about Jehovah's Witnesses. I've talked about Mormonism. In fact, I need to finish my series that I eventually started on why Mormonism fails as a religion. I've talked about Islam. In fact, in most cases where I've talked about Islam on my channel, it has always been in the case of radical Islam. Radical Islam. Religious extremists. That's primarily what I deal with here on my channel.
I will admit that in society there's a pressure on people. If you criticise the state of Israel, for example, you're often branded an anti-Semite. And if you criticise Islam, you can be called anti-Muslim, or you can face repercussions. We all know what's happened with people, famous people who have been very vocally opposed to Islam. But is that the reason you target the Christian, the equivalent in religion of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male? Because we won't behead you, we won't fight back, or we won't accuse you of being racist?
What does racism have to do with this? My head being chopped off? You think that I don't talk about Islam because I'm afraid that I'm going to get my head chopped off? Are you for real? Madam, I just got back from a 1-month trip from Africa in an Islamic country where I was around women who were wearing all black and you could only see their eyeballs. I was in an Islamic country where I got to actually see men abuse women physically, and there was nothing that I could do about it. The specific region that I was in, out in the countryside, I was not in the city. The city where I was is a lot more modernized, but out where I was is a lot more radical. And by radical, what I mean is I was around people who, if they found out that I was an atheist and that I did not believe in Allah, that I could have been arrested where I was staying. So therefore, the group of people that I was staying with described me as a student who was there to learn, which I guess technically I was there to learn, but I was there to build houses for widowed women in the religion of Islam who had been divorced by their husbands and left in a little house of mud with their 5 or 6 children. Because divorce over there is a little bit different in the religion of Islam. I am not afraid to talk about other religions, and if you knew anything about my content, you would know that I've talked about Islam. I've actually defended, yes, get this, I have defended Muslims here on my channel. Religious Muslims in the United States of America. I have defended them. You can actually watch the video for yourself. I think it's my, it was when the Boston bombings happened, and how everybody who had dark skin or who wore a turban was labeled a terrorist. And in that video, I was specifically talking about Muslims who live in the United States who are not radical, who do not believe that people should have their genitals mutilated, who do not believe that people of a different religion should be killed or oppressed or taught with terrorism or jihad. I was destroying stereotypes and labels of Muslims, religious Muslims, here on my channel. So before you make claims about me which are not true, I suggest you go on my channel and you look up certain videos so you can be educated on the things that I do talk about so you don't appear foolish ever again.
In the video you called The God Who Fucked Me Over, you said this.
Or oppression. Oppression is happening in other religions where women have their genitals mutilated and cut out.
Mr. Salzback, you are making a clear reference to Islam. Go and do your research. Islam does not support female genital mutilation. No religion supports it. It's a cultural issue.
2 things I'd like to mention here. I was strictly talking about radical extremists in Islam. Radical being the key word. Radical meaning jihad. Radical meaning Sharia, I think it's Sharia, I always pronounce the word wrong, Sharia law. Law that is put into practice which degrades women. Law that is put into practice that women are nothing but worthless pieces of shit. If you have studied Sharia law, you would know that it is a very, very radical law and how it treats women and people, and how it treats people of different religions. I'm talking strictly about radical Islam. Another example of radical Islam, jihad, people flying 2 planes into our towers in the United States of America, terrorism. That's what I'm talking about, religious extremists. And 2, that is a very bold statement coming from you. No religions condone or practice female mutilation. I can tell you right now that that is very, very incorrect. In fact, what about male mutilation? Is not circumcision, and this is a debatable topic, but is not male circumcision practiced in Christianity and other religions in the United States of America? Is male circumcision mutilation? Is female genital mutilation? There are many religions, and I'm not going to get a whole history book on different religions that condone these practices, but there are many smaller religions that condone this type of behavior, especially in regions like South America or even the Congo in Africa.
So stop being a pussy, Mr. Epsilon. You are a complete and utter ignorant pussy in your attack on the Christian pilot. Because there's nothing to say that a Jewish, Muslim, Sikh or Hindu pilot wouldn't have done the same.
By all means, if this was an attempt to insult me or hurt my feelings or make me upset by calling me an anti-Christian pussy, you failed really, really bad, because if anything, the title made me laugh, and I'm more than happy to hold on to that title of a anti-Christian pussy, because quite frankly, I am pretty anti-religious, I will admit that, and I do like vaginas, so if that's the label you want to throw on me, an anti-Christian pussy, by all means, I will happily embrace it. You can call me a white knight faggot if you want, I don't really care. But I would suggest that if you're going to make videos like this towards me in the future, that you educate yourself on the content that I have made prior before uploading the videos saying that I've never talked about certain things when I obviously have. Again, I'm going to stress I have a lot of videos, over 700. I realize that not everybody's going to be able to watch all of them, but I've made videos on so many different religions that I myself can't even keep track of half of them. So by all means, please watch all of my videos before you make a video claiming things about me that are not true. Anywho, thank you guys for watching. My name is Daniel Sulzbach, also known as Mr. Repzion. Peace, the rep, out.